What's going on, guys? My name is Jacob, and I'm here to give you the 10 steps that I go through to choose my lock of the week. What is the lock of the week? Well, every single week I pick one underdog that I believe in my mind is going to win with 100% certainty, and we've had some great lifetime success. And this year, in 2024, we are absolutely killing it. I've gotten so many questions on how do you pick your lock of the week, Jacob, so I'm going to tell you right now the 10 steps I go through in choosing a lock of the week. Let me say first off, this is not some get-rich-quick scheme. This is not some if you do this, some weird quadratic formula to picking an underdog. You gotta work for this. This is a lot of tape study. This is a lot of digging, diving deep into the depths of filming, understanding fighters. I've been watching fights and fighters for a few years now. Every single week I go into regional tape, all this tape. I watch a lot of tape, and I'm telling you right now, if you are betting on MMA and you are not watching tapes before you place these bets, you are doing yourself a disservice. And a lot of these points that you guys are going to be seeing, and you're going to be like, oh my god, that's so obvious. But just because it's obvious to you doesn't mean it's obvious to every single person, and maybe you learn something the way that I look at fights as well. So without further ado, these are the 10 steps I go through in choosing my underdog lock of the week. Number 1, forget about the odds. Do not look at the odds. The biggest mistake that people make if they're trying to make an underdog lock, if they're trying to pick underdogs, is they look at the fights, they look at the odds, and then they choose an underdog from those odds. That's not how you do it, guys. You're trying to pick winners. Break down the entire card to yourself without looking at the odds. Pick winners. A lot of times when I'm picking my underdog lock of the week, it's because I pick somebody to win. Turns out they're an underdog. Nobody else is an underdog. Guess what? Easy lock of the week decision. Always start with who you think is going to win, and if they happen to be an underdog, there you go. There is your first candidate for lock of the week. Let's move on to number 2. Number 2 step and how I choose my lock of the week, because sometimes you just know, right? I'm telling you guys right now, do not pick fights based on memory. Always go back and re-watch fights. Even if you think you remember on what happened in a fight, go back and re-watch fights. But there's some fighters that you've seen so many times that you just kind of know how that fight is going to play out. I'm going to give you examples for each step as we go through these on this year's lock of the weeks, on who kind of fits into this criteria, who I thought fit into this criteria. And for this step, it's going to be Max Holloway, Bilal, DDP. Those are my lock of the weeks this week, where I just kind of already knew. I already knew how those people fought. I already knew the matchups. Max versus Justin, Bilal versus Leon, DDP versus Izzy. I knew that they were going to have success because they had already passed these next few steps that I'm going to give you guys. So number 2 is sometimes I just kind of know who the lock of the week is going to be. Number 3 step and how I choose my lock of the week. You gotta find the Brazilians, baby. Brazil will never let you down. And if it's a Brazilian female, you triple down on that underdog. Okay. Number 4 step. We're getting back to the real stuff here. Number 4 step, and one of the most important steps for choosing an underdog lock of the week, is gonna be durability and toughness. The last thing you want is an underdog that's gonna go in there and they've been finished in the first round a few times, in the second round. You want somebody that's always going to give you a chance. And if you look at my underdog picks, every single one of them is a very durable person, or they should be. Only 4 lock of the weeks on the entire year of 2024 have been finished, and a couple of those people were dominating those fights before they got finished, like a Christian Quinones, a Bernardo Sopai. So I know how to choose durability. I know how to choose toughness. That is an asset when choosing your underdog lock of the week. Number 4 step and how I choose my underdog lock of the week is going to be the same thing, except on the flip side. You have to look at the opponent's durability and toughness. If you already have a couple candidates for lock of the week, and you've already decided that your candidate for lock of the week is a tough, durable person, and you're looking at their opponent and they've been finished a few times, they can't quite make it, you've seen them quit, that is going to be a possibility for an underdog lock of the week. Number 6 step and how I choose my underdog lock of the week. Let's say you found an underdog that you kind of like. You realize that they are a durable person and they're fighting somebody that also can be a durable person as well. So you move to the next step. What we want to see in an underdog for an underdog lock of the week, if they are durable and their opponent is a durable, is aggression. The number 6 thing to look for is aggression, and this is a huge one. A lot of my underdog lock of the week picks, I get to this point and this is how I picked them. My 2024 picks that I picked basically just off aggression. I knew they were durable. Their opponents were, durable as well, but I knew that they were going to be the more aggressive fighter, giving them a chance to win the fight no matter what. That's going to be like a Garrett Armfield, a Danny Silva, a Chepi, a David Onama, a Charles Johnson, a Vinicius Oliveira, John Silva, and a Tabitha Ricci. These are people that I knew were going to be in close, tough fights, or I thought were going to be in close, tough fights, but they were always going to be the aggressor, and the judges absolutely love the aggressor. So that is the next step to look for. Some of the ones that I missed in 2024 that I thought were going to win with their aggression, that's going to be like a Bernardo Sopai, who was the aggressive one, ended up gassing. An Amanda Hebos, who just couldn't quite do enough in that fight. Also a little bit biased with Amanda. A Charles Radke, who came in, I thought he was going to be a little bit more durable, got hit with that body shot. And then a Julia as well, who showed her aggressive, just didn't quite show enough. So those were some of the lock of the weeks that I lost, that I thought were going to be that aggressive fighter and just couldn't quite keep it up to be able to win those decisions. But they were close fights. Number 7 and number 8 steps in how I choose my underdog lock of the week are going to kind of go hand in hand, but this is very important. Más importante. If you're still looking for an underdog and you've reached these steps, this is where the deep dive research comes in. This is where you need to understand fights. This is where you need to understand fighters, and it's not something that you can do overnight. And I'm not saying I'm an expert at it, because I lose fights as well, but you have to be able to understand, number 1, or number 7 in this list, how do they lose? You can learn a lot more about a fighter and how do they lose fights. Are they losing close fights? Are they getting finished? Are they losing in kind of fluky ways? And if they're losing in a certain type of way, does their opponent present those same type of dangers? Maybe they've got 3, 4, 5 losses, but they're all losing to very fast strikers. You're looking at their opponent and you realize this guy didn't have that type of speed, or maybe he's a wrestler. They don't really lose against wrestlers. You can learn more about a fighter and how they lose than how they win. Going hand in hand with that, as I already kind of alluded to, number 8 is going to be, how does their opponent win? Do these styles kind of match up to where your lock of the week candidate maybe has been losing by submissions, the opponent has a bunch of submissions? To me, that's a little bit iffy. I'm not going to pick a lock of the week where that type of stuff matches up. I'm not picking a lock of the week who's getting pushed around and out wrestled against a wrestler. I'm not picking a lock of the week who's getting lit up on the feet against a very dynamic striker. So it seems kind of obvious, but you gotta kind of look at, how does my fighter lose? How does the opponent win? And does that match out for a favorable matchup in my underdog? Some of the examples this year in my lock of the weeks where I got to this step and I felt like there was clear advantage with my fighter. The number 1 example in 2024 for my lock of the week was going to be Chang Ho. I felt his opponent, if the wrestling was taken to him, that's how he loses fight. I thought Chang Ho could take that wrestling to him. Not exactly how that fight played out, but that's how I saw it. That's why he was my pick. Manon Farrow versus Aaron Blanchfield. I knew that if Aaron Blanchfield couldn't get the takedowns, she wasn't going to win the fight. I thought Manon could defend the takedowns. She did. That's how she won the fight. Jim Miller, the first lock of the week of 2024, I thought his striking would be good enough to hurt a guy like Mowgli. That's exactly what happened. And then Baldwin against Zach Poga. I've seen Poga get knocked out before. I knew Baldwin could throw that heat, so that was my underdog pick. Now, the ones that I've missed in 2024 were Paulo Costa. I thought that Rob was a little bit chinny. Paulo could capitalize on that. He almost did. Had him wobbled. Couldn't quite get that fight done. Diani Barbosa, I believe that she was going to be able to stuff the takedowns from Miranda, and Miranda couldn't get the takedowns. She would lose that fight. Didn't play out that way, but that's how I saw that fight. That's why she was my underdog lock. Loopy, again, defend the takedowns. You should win. She couldn't defend the takedowns. She tried to grapple a little bit too much, but that was the path to victory that I saw her there for her. And then Pedro Munoz. I thought he was a durable guy that would be able to pick up the pace late in the fight versus a guy like Kyler, but Kyler, he looked fantastic. He's got a fight coming up. The number 9 way that I picked my underdog lock of the week, and this one is going to be maybe the secret sauce, right? Because I've picked a lot of underdogs with this method. I've gone through all the methods, all the steps, boom, boom, boom. I get to this one, and this one could be the secret sauce that a lot of people are missing. They're not doing the deep dive research that I am willing to do. The number 9 way that I pick my underdog lock of the week is going to be improvements. And what I mean by this is you have to be able to read improvements from fighters from fight to fight. Even if you're going into their Instagram and you're looking about, 52 weeks ago, how are they hitting pads versus a few weeks ago, how are they hitting the heavy bag? How are they doing the wrestling? Are they doing the grappling? Have they improved from a blue belt to a brown belt? This is where the money is absolutely made to be able to see the improvements from fighters from fight to fight to fight. So maybe they lost 3 or 4, maybe they lost a couple in a row, but the last 2 fights, you're looking at the film, you're watching the tape, you're like, wow, they're looking a little bit faster. And if they continue to improve in this matchup, I believe that they are going to have an edge. A few examples in 2024 that I saw improvements on, and that's why I made them my lock of the week. It's going to be like a Chris Padilla. I could tell with his head coach change, all this stuff, that he was improving in his fights. He was going to come in and win that fight. Charles Johnson is always improving, and he was making steps. I've picked against Charles Johnson for my lock of the week, but I could see those improvements, and I understood that if he continued to make those improvements, he was going to beat a guy like Jake Hadley. Cheppy, of course, how can you ever doubt Cheppy, man? Cheppy is always improving every single fight, and he has all those intangibles we mentioned before. Durable, aggressive, everything, but we also saw and guessed the improvements he was going to make in this fight. And then a Garrett Armfield as well. Garrett Armfield is a guy that works hard. I knew that he was going to come in crisp and clean. Some of the misses that I try to guess the improvements on for lock of the week this year were going to be like a Mitch Raposo. I saw his boxing, I saw his training, I thought he could do it, but that loss now is aging like fine wine against Andre Lima. It was a split decision, by the way. A Christian Quinones, where he was actually looking pretty good, and then all of a sudden he was just finished. I was like, what the hell is going on? But he's another guy where he's had some losses in career, but it looks like he was working hard. I failed you guys there, but you saw the path to where I was going and heading for that lock of the week. And then a Kevin Borjas, probably the worst lock of the week on the list, but you know, I thought that he was going to continue to improve. I saw some striking improvements, and he absolutely failed us. The last step and number 10 on how I choose my lock of the week. If I get through all these steps and I still have not really decided on who lock of the week is going to be, the number 10 reason that you would pick a lock is going to be the value. Never pick your underdog lock of the week just based on value. What are you doing? You're trying to pick winners. You want to pick people that win fights, but if you get to this point, value could be the only play. And I'll be honest, in 2024, there was only one fighter that I picked correctly based on value, and that was last week or 2 weeks ago, UFC Noche Esteban Rivovics. I knew that was going to be a close fight, and I said, you know what, plus 185, plus 200, and a 50-50 fight, that's my lock of the week based on value. But you want to do everything before that, before you get to that point. You don't want to make block picks based on value. So there you have it, guys, the 10 steps on how I choose my underdog lock of the week every single week. A lot of that stuff is obviously pretty obvious. It's a lot of just watching film and understanding what you are seeing. There's no real secret sauce. There's no just formula you can type in, but hopefully these 10 steps help you understand where I'm coming from when I choose my lock of the weeks and help you make better underdog lock of the weeks as we move forward into 2024 and beyond. If you guys enjoyed this video, you want to see more videos like this, make sure you like the video, subscribe if you are new. I appreciate all you guys as always. My name is Jacob, aka the Freckled Salamander, and I'm out. Peace.